and welcome to The Loop. My name is Valentine Joroge.
And my name is Mike Washira.
And this is a bold and fresh look at our lives in Kenya today. I'd like to thank our sign language interpreter, whose name has slipped my mind.
Hi, Walter. Okay, exciting news. So with only one day to go, K24 TV is bringing you the English Premier League. And this action is live and into your living room starting tomorrow. K24 TV will start airing EPL matches. And the first games will start with Fulham FC up against Arsenal at 2:30 p.m. Now, the Kenyan English Premier League fans will also have a chance to be part of the show in their segment Mashabiki Maskani, where they will air their concerns and predictions. To catch the game on K24's YouTube channel, all you simply need to do is dial *544 *40 hash. That's *544 *40 hash at only 20 shillings to ensure you don't miss out.
But this has been a very exciting week. We saw a governor get arrested, the governor of Tharaka Nithi, for graft. Yeah. And we also saw hate speech arrests and accusations. And that is our conversation tonight. Is enough being done to fight hate speech and corruption in Kenya? And of course, we want to hear from you. And what you need to do is talk to us using the hashtag LoopK24 on all our social media handles, LoopK24 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. First, let's take a look at the stories that are making headlines.
Ingine hii ambayo ipitishwe lakini itafanyiwa rekebisho kabla ya mpango ya mwaka pesa ya mwaka ujao.
ODM leader Raila Odinga wants the government to revert to the initial county revenue allocation formula.
Wanasiasa msimamishe siasa sasa. Wananchi wanaumia, wanakufa, wananjaa.
Clergy urges leaders to desist from early politicking amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Matatus to be barred from accessing the city centre from November as the Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS Director General Mohammed Badi moves to decongest the city.
The Orange Democratic Movement, ODM party leader Raila Odinga has asked senators to support his proposal for the county revenues to be shared using the previous formula that was used in the last financial year as they wait for amendments on the formula currently being debated in the Senate. Speaking in Diani, Kwale County, Odinga said that he has had talks with the Commission on Revenue Allocation over the disputed third-generation formula, and they have agreed to make amendments within the next 3 months. Nixon Kisaka with more.
During his tour in Kwale County on Friday, ODM party leader Raila Odinga advised senators to allow the use of previous CRA formula in order to end the current standoff that has been marred with politics.
Kasema tutumie ile formula ambayo ilitumika mwaka jana kugawanya pesa mwaka huu. Ile formula sasa itafanywa rekebisho. Ingine hii ambayo ipitishwe lakini itafanywa rekebisho kabla ya mpango ya mwaka pesa ya mwaka ujao.
At the same time, the ODM boss continued to drum up for BBI, saying the report will soon be submitted at the Parliament and Senate for approval before being subjected for a referendum.
Kuna jukumu mingi ambayo katiba zimegatuliwa lakini zimebaki juu na serikali ya juu. Hajaletwa hapa chini. Nataka hizi zote zirudi chini hapa kwa serikali ya county.
And as the political temperatures begin to rise in the country, the ODM party seem to be warming up for the drumbeats by touring different parts of the country. While in Machakos County for a political event, the ODM brigade led by the party's Secretary General Edwin Sifuna said that they are preparing to take off for the national campaigns ahead of 2022 general elections through a Chama Mashinani program initiative.
We are here to make it very clear that in 2022 we want to win seats here in Machakos on an ODM ticket. We want to win seats in Ukambani, and there is nothing that will stop us because we are a national party.
We have embarked on an elaborate program called Chama Mashinani at all branches and wards. The aim is to activate youth league structures to attract more youths into the movement. We shall hold meetings at all counties under the auspice of Chama Mashinani.
The party, however, stated that it has no intentions to form a political coalition.
As the SG of the party under the ODM constitution, I am the custodian of all documents. I have not seen any agreement with anyone regarding 2022. There is no such agreement.
Nixon Kisaka, K24.
The 2022 campaign seemed to have hit the ground running as politicians crisscrossed the country to popularize their interest to the electorate.
Religious leaders have raised concern over the ongoing political realignments even as the country continues the war on coronavirus. Faith Anyula reports.
As the race to 2022 begins to gain pace, church leaders have strongly criticized politicians for engaging in early campaigns, even as the country continues to grapple with effects of COVID-19.
Kenya wakati wote inakuwa ni siasa, hatupumziki. Miezi 6 tumemaliza tukijificha. Tumeambiwa kaa nyumbani. Tumeambiwa kwamba usisalimiane. Tumeambiwa usifanye hiki. Hivi sasa wanasiasa wote wamerudi uwanjani. Na miaka miwili ingali bado. Tunasema kwamba wanasiasa msimamishe siasa sasa. Wananchi wanaumia, wanakufa, wananjaa.
They are skeptical that early politicking is likely to interfere with service delivery.
Mambo ya corruption ambayo yamekaa kule kotini kwa miaka mingi. Tunasema kwamba hii ipelekwe mbio. Tuone kwamba wale ambao watahukumiwa wahukumiwe, wala wataachiliwa waachiliwe, lakini sio mwaka nenda mwaka rudi.
The clergy wants politicians to cool political temperatures and instead focus their attention on fighting corruption that is becoming rampant across the country.
Shida moja, viongozi wanakula mpaka ile kitu ambao wameambiwa asile. Wako na lances zao, wako na traveling zao, lakini wanakula mpaka zile zingine ambazo zilikuwa za kuboresha nchi. Lakini tushukuru Mungu kama BBI itachukuliwa vile ilivyo, vile inavyotakikana na watu wako na interest ya mwananchi, basi inaweza zaa matunda.
On the BBI process, the church leaders maintain they will only support constitutional changes if those changes will address issues affecting Kenyans, especially at grassroots level.
Hii ni kawaida ya wanasiasa wetu. Leo atakuja akiwa mzuri, kesho atageuka. Ni mambo mengi tumeambiwa kama wahubiri ya kwamba sisi tukiingia tutajali kanisa. Lakini mpaka leo hatujaona mtu ambaye kwa kweli kabisa amejitokeza waziwazi anajali kanisa.
The church leaders condemned the recent verbal attacks against the president and the deputy president. Instead, they urge leaders to restrain themselves and exercise a high level of sovereignty.
Wale maseneta wetu hatukuwachagua waende kuonyesha nani mkubwa, nani ambao sio mkubwa. Tuliwachagua waende kuwakilisha wananchi. Kwa hivyo mara moja waamke, mara moja wapitishe huo mswada, pesa sirudi mashinani, watu wakaweza kuhudumiwa pale. Watu 1.7 wamepoteza kazi, hawajui watakula nini. Na siasa zinaendelea ni kama ni wakati wa siasa. Tunasema msimamishe hiyo mara moja. Na ili wananchi waweze kuanza kurudi kwa mabiashara na vitu ziendelee vizuri.
Faith Anyula, K24 Evening Edition.
Matatu operators have today refuted claims that they were involved in the plans to bar matatus from the city centre by November of this year. Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Mohammed Badi said that his office has set up various bus termini outside of the CBD.
Estimates by the Kenya National Highways Authority indicate that Nairobi is losing 50 million shillings daily to traffic jams.
On Monday, NMS boss announced that public vehicles will be barred from accessing the city centre. Badi disclosed to the National Assembly's Committee on Administration and National Security that President Uhuru Kenyatta will launch the termini once the plans are finalized in November. but the decision has not sat well with the matatu operators.
Sisi watu wa matatu hatuna sehemu ambayo tunaweza enda kugeukia, ama kwa hii barabara ya Mombasa Road tukija kwa upande ya town hakuna sehemu ambayo tunaweza pita. Lazima tuingie hapa tupate nafasi ya kutoka.
Kuna Kenya wanafanya nini? Wanataka kugain kutoka hapa, ndio gari isipoingia hapa. Maybe kuna ile means zenye wamepata wataleta za serikali, ile mwananchi wa kawaida afanye nini? Aumie.
Speaking to K24 this morning, public transport leader Martin Eshuwani reiterated that plans to streamline transport within CBD will be in line with the needs of matatu operators, and both have come into a consensus.
All these once finalized, we shall have a concrete report that we are going to discuss with all stakeholders in the industry and share with them our vision. But they already know the vision of improving public transport in Nairobi City.
But despite these claims, matatu operators are not in sync with the public transport boss.
Mimi nimekuwa kwa barabara kila siku, niko hapa, lakini sijasikia hiyo rumors ikienea mahali popote. Nile tulisikia wakitangaza matatu hazitakuwa zinaingia wapi? Nairobi ndani.
I want to say that that directive has been arrived at in a dictative manner without consultation with all the stakeholders in the industry, including us who are the matatu crew, including our managers and all other stakeholders within the CBD who operate here using matatus.
Plans to decongest the city are not new to the public, as it remains an unfulfilled manifesto for both Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko and his predecessor, Evans Kidero.
If we have to come up with a strategy that will help the transport economy, we have to be consulted. We have to involve everyone, including those who are here on a daily basis, because those are the ones who know where the rubber touches the road. They know how it happens. They know where it goes wrong.
Once more, the decision by the government to ban matatus from the city center has not been received well. Commuters and matatu operators can only hope that the plans underway will not interfere with their daily schedules. Mombi Wambogo, K24, The Loop.
Very exciting week in Nairobi, as we've seen so many arrests and accusations, and people have refused to apologize for things that have been termed hate speech. So our question tonight is, are we doing enough to fight hate speech and corruption in this country?
Yeah, send us your thoughts and opinions. We definitely want to hear from you, because, you know, you have to ask yourself, is enough being done and can we do more? The WhatsApp number is on the screen right now. We'll sample your responses. And of course, you can talk to us on social media, the Loop K24, using the hashtag Loop K24. We have a fantastic panel here to have this conversation with us this evening. But more of that after the break.
How is your Friday evening going? Welcome back to The Loop, a bold and fresh look at our lives in Kenya today. And tonight we're talking about hate speech. We're talking about corruption. We've seen some arrests made this week, and we're wondering what exactly is hate speech. I think let's start there. Mike, you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
What is the difference between hate speech and self-expression? Like if I just don't like a group of people?
Okay, well, you see, so hate speech is essentially when you utter certain words or you say certain things that are meant to promote hate towards a particular individual or towards a group. And when that happens, the intention is then that this hate towards this group or towards this individual, people can pick that up and, use that as something that they can go and, either harm those people or do something bad to them. So essentially the definition of hate speech is the use of threatening, inciting, abusive or insultive words and behavior with the intention, this is important, the intention of stirring up ethnic hatred. The words used may degrade, intimidate, incite violence or prejudicial action against a person or a group of people.
Okay, so now in court, if I bring you to court and say you have, this is your crime, it's the burden of proof is on me. I have to prove that you had an intention with this hate speech.
Yes.
How do I prove intention?
So of course, what's going to happen is they're going to analyze and look at what you said. So Valentine said ABCD on a certain day. And what is the ordinary meaning of those words?
Okay.
And would a normal lay person be moved by those words towards hatred, towards violence, towards some sort of abuse against the people who you were talking about when you said those words?
Okay, interesting. We also saw, in the definition, it said ethnic group.
Yeah.
So women aren't part of an ethnic group, but there's so much violence targeted at us verbally.
Yes, there is. There's a lot that happens. And, for me, I think that definition is, needs to be a bit broader to cover words and utterances against a particular person or a group. And those utterances are intended to promote hatred based on your ethnicity, based on your gender, based on your race, based on your religion, sexual orientation, and all that sort of thing. But there have been so many politicians. We see this all the time.
We do.
And I think Ferdinand Wetito was one of the first people who we saw and were like, hey, this one, hate speech, hate speech, hate speech.
There was him. There was also Moses Kuria. I think he's the one who made the phrase famous. We're like, hey, you can get arrested. It used to sound like some American thing, but then now suddenly it was brought home, and we saw somebody, actually the president's MPs, and that was what he was called at the time, getting arrested. Yes, that was interesting to me. What was also interesting to me was Kafogo. Yes.
And you have to ask yourself the question then, we've seen all these people sort of accused of hate speech.
Yes.
And at one point or another, they've all been picked up and, taken to the cells. And that just doesn't see the light of day. So do you think we're doing enough?
I don't think we're doing enough. I think it's kind of become a joke because there's so much ethnic stereotyping and whatever that already exists in our language, We make fun of specific groups. You people like chicken, you penda chai, you people are thieves, there are all these accusations. So I think because of that, it's a hard crime to take seriously. And have we seen convictions?
That's the question. And, for us, that's why you ask, are we doing enough? Like, is there more that needs to be done? Because when you look at this list of people who have been arrested, they're all politicians, right? You had Charles Jaguar, you had Moses Kuria, you had Kapseret MP, Oscar Sudi. And, you have to ask yourself, out of this entire list of people who we have seen arrested at one point or the other, where are the convictions?
Where are the convictions? Yes. And actually, what does the crime get you? Is it a fine? Is it time in prison? Is it both? I think we have to ask that. And have we seen actual, proper prosecution where someone was actually answering a case for years on years, as we usually see in our, in our judiciary? Cases take forever.
It's interesting. There was actually one person who was successfully convicted for hate speech. And when I heard his name, I was like, okay, fine, who is that? I've never heard of this
Who's this
in
guy?
my life, And, you see, you'd think that the usual suspects who are always being, the usual suspects who are always being arrested and, taken to the police, to the cells for this sort of thing would be the names that we're seeing, But that's not the case.
That is true. And actually, we also have to ask, because I've seen this conversation so much on social media, is have these arrests been weaponized? Have these arrests been weaponized? Are they being used to curtail, you know, specific people?
Or to fight proxy wars.
Yes, exactly. I like that phrase, proxy wars. Yes.
Yeah, because certain people somewhere cannot say certain things about certain issues and certain people. Somebody else is the mouthpiece of that person.
Exactly, exactly. So I think it's amazing to have this conversation with our amazing panel tonight. We've got with us Limuru MP, Mheshimiwa Peter Mwadhi coming in. We also have somebody all the way in Kilifi, Owen Baya, the Kilifi MP, and we have Samuel Amara from Nakuru West also joining us so that we can have this conversation and hopefully shed some light from both the Tanga side of the divide and the Kieleweke side of the divide. So karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So you've been following this conversation?
Yeah, I just followed. I had a few words which was discussed with your colleague. And I was trying to catch up.
Okay.
And to know where you're coming from, where you are, and where you want us to go.
And where we want you to go. We just want to understand this issue better. And perhaps a question for all three Mheshimiwas is, we've seen you when you get on stage and you get excited with the crowd and, you know, people start dancing and you've got so much to say. Does something happen to you there and you say things sometimes that surprise even like your wife who knows you well and yourself?
Or even surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. I like the way you put it.
Yeah.
You might find you are surprising yourself.
Have you surprised yourself on a stage?
Not once.
Okay.
For the simple reason that when you are talking to the crowd and they are cheering you up, and then you want to still feel like you are the soldier you are the hero you are, and then you might end up just going overboard. But truth be told, I think in this nation we have done that only too often. And I want to believe that also our listeners, our crowd, our audience have also encouraged, because sometimes I listen to people speak about politics, and then when they talk about anything below the belt, it becomes like, oh, that's the in thing, that's a hero.
Oh.
I think we got to start now changing, because going that route is the one that has now brought people to the extent of, I will now abuse so-and-so.
Yes.
So that I become a hero.
Yes.
I will now talk ill of such ethnic group, because when I go back, you know, they say politics is local. So I'm sure if I am not, for example, on the side of Deputy President, then I will say some bad things about him in very bad language, or vice versa, if I'm against Tinga. And that when you go home and people say, now you are our hero.
You are our hero because you said this thing.
I don't think we need to do that. We need to do politics of ideology.
Okay.
We need to do politics that, you know, don't border anywhere near hate speech.
I like that.
Yes, I like that. But
we have Mheshimiwa Owen Baya as well, Kilifi North MP. Karibu sana.
Yes. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Mheshimiwa, I want to ask you, we'll just ask you the same question that we asked Mheshimiwa here in studio. What happens to politicians when you get on this podium, on the stand, and you see the crowd, and you start saying things which, you know, could land you in trouble? Why does that happen?
You see, what I would say is that any politician who gets onto a podium and gets hold of a mic and is swayed by the crowd and he says things which he did not mean to say, then that does not qualify to be a leader. What I believe is that every politician, when he stands on the podium, takes the mic and says the things he has said, he has premeditated them and planned what to say. And therefore, whatever he says, he must take responsibility for it, not to say that, you know, I was swayed by the crowd. If you are a politician and a leader, and you actually swayed by a crowd to say the wrong thing so that you can plead them, then I think you are in the wrong field. You should not be a politician.
Okay, and Mheshimiwa Samuel Amara, thank you so much for joining us from Nakuru West. What has happened to you on stage? Have you ever gotten excited and said something that surprised you?
Thank you so much. I'm Honorable Samuel Yarama, not Yamara. Madam Amara is another name, but Honorable Samuel Yarama. Nakuru Town West constituency. I think what happens with us politicians sometimes when we go to addressing any crowd, we get excited. And sometimes I can tell you that we realize later, most people realize later that they have committed an offense because of excitement, because usually people want to hear what you are, when you are talking to people and they get excited and they clap when you are talking, they cheer you up, you start talking anything. And in the process, you realize that you have committed an offense. And unfortunately, the offense you have committed is what we are the people who have made the same, we are the people who make the laws. Because that's why you can see most members of parliament being taken to court with hate speech. And once they come out, you ask what was really happening. You find that they are apologetic, they apologize. And I think it's something which we need to tame because hate speech can bring a lot of many other issues.
Yeah, asante sana Mheshimiwa. And I think, the question here should be then, if you're a leader, you're a public figure, you get onto a podium and you say things, you should be held to a higher level of account than a normal mwananchi who is just shouting at a bus stop. And so, the question we're asking here today is, do you think enough is being done to combat hate speech and corruption? We'll talk more with our panel after this short break. Don't go too far. Remember, you're watching The Loop. We are a bold and fresh look at our lives in Kenya.
Welcome back to The Loop, a bold and fresh look at our lives in Kenya today. And tonight we are asking the question, are we doing enough to fight hate speech and corruption in Kenya? And we've been joined by a very informative panel. That's the plan. Peter Mwadi from Limuru and Samuel
Arama.
So bad of me, so bad of me. Mheshimiwa Karibu, and also from Kilifi North, we've been joined by Owen Baya. So It's very easy to make light of hate speech, to laugh about it even. But we've seen just how bad it can get. Not so long ago, in all of our lifetimes, we've seen post-election violence here. In neighboring Rwanda, we saw the genocide. So it's not something to be taken lightly. And we also have a level of violence that happens with all of our elections. So now, when I was watching all this stuff on the news, I was like, has this started early? Has the election, you know, there's a level of violence there with hate speech. So is it starting early? Have we forgotten? Are we being careless?
I think we are fairly being careless, having come from where we've come from, knowing what happened to us in previous times, and specifically, you know, in 2007 it was terrible. And there was all manner of fights between ethnic groups. And then the same politicians, I would say, or supporters of politicians are now starting this early, before we get to election, to start uttering hate speech. And I think the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has had either no tooth or has not been serious. Because that is one commission that is charged with being firm on those who are spewing hate speech. And I would say there's one time I said, I think it was in the 10th Parliament, and I said, you know, all those people who will not follow a certain politician will not be treated well. I was in trouble.
Threat.
Yes. And
yes.
I didn't think it was such a threat. But I was taken there, and I had to go through a rigorous, very rigorous process, including writing apologies and swearing that I'll not be going to do it, and most importantly, going out to undo what it is that I had done. So you must go out not just to apologize and say, I'm sorry, but you go and start preaching peace.
Okay.
So, and that was just that. Now, you can imagine when you hear people talking of this country, this land is not yours, it doesn't belong to a certain ethnic group, that is overboard. So the National Cohesion and Integration Commission must really do its work. It looks like things will not be it will be messy, like they say, and noisy, and with consequences. But I would want that National National Cohesion and Integration Commission to really
to clamp down, take a
clamp down, and especially on politicians, starting with me and the rest. Because, like we said, sometimes when you get on the mic, you want to say politics are local. So if I go out and I'm from this ethnic group and I go and attack another ethnic group, then you are our hero. There is no hero in that. What I would want us to talk about is ideologies of how to help our people. How do we get our people from?
I like that. But first, I want to hear actually from Kilifi North, our MP, Owen Baya, because you're on the other side of Jubilee, and there's been a lot of conversation that these arrests have been weaponized and are targeted at people from your particular part of the divide. What do you believe about this? Is it true?
No, what I would like to say is that, yes, there is some kind of political weaponization of these accusations, that certain communities, and this is where we go wrong, that people who seem to be arrested seem to be coming from certain communities, and that is where you tear the country. I think there should be a deliberate attempt to bring the country together. Cohesion is more important than prosecution. How you bring a country together is more important than who you prosecute and who you do what at a certain time. Yes, very bad things have been said. And those people who said those things must regret what they have said. And you can see the speech that was made by my friend Oscar Sudi was not at a podium. He called a press conference, and he had planned what to say. And he said the things that we said, unlike Ngeno, who stood in a public platform. But if you analyze Ngeno's speeches in the last 1 year, I think there's a consistency in the kind of things that he has been saying. So at the end of the day, even when we say that these things are being weaponized, but there are people who have names, who have locations, we know where they have come from, who say the kind of things that they say. And like Mwathi is saying, there is some kind of heroism that comes with the kind of things that we say for the purpose of winning the votes and consolidating tribal votes. And that is where we have a problem in this country, because politics in this country are balkanized. You know, there are people from this region who belong to this political outfit, people from another region belong to this political outfit, and if I'm seen to be saying things against the other political outfit, then I come out with the votes because they see like ninatetea jamii yetu. Now, the politics of jamii in this country is what tears the fabric of this nation. You know, nationhood is a mosaic. And you know, when you have a mosaic of colors and of, you know, a beautiful mosaic, you maintain it. When we remove one part, then the mosaic is gone and the beauty is gone. And that is what we have as a problem right now, that we are failing as a country to hold the fabric of the nation by balkanizing, such that one tribe must go with another tribe, so that now we form the politics of ethnicity within the country. There is beauty in our diversity because we come from different ethnic backgrounds. But then if we are going to use that for politics, then we'll tear the country. And the kind of things you have seen, there's a consistent pattern. The people who said certain things belong to a certain community. The people who have been demonstrating against those things are coming from a certain community. There is a proper choreography by that community to ensure that they have said very bad things about those people to protect their community. And that is where we miss it as a country. A country needs to be woven together. Yes.
That's true. And I think there's a question there about whether the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has done enough in terms of bringing this country together, so that in the event where you have you know, political leaders in podiums or calling press conferences saying something, trying to pit one community against the other, the community is already enlightened enough to see that for what it is and decide to take a different route. I'd like to ask Mheshimiwa Arama whether you feel that political parties also have a responsibility to call out their members who make such utterances. And you know, we've seen like what happened with Mheshimiwa Ngeno and the stance that KANU took. Should more political parties be that bold to be able to, you know, expel their members who they feel or who they have reasonable suspicion to believe have, you know, committed hate speech?
I think that's a good question. It should be, we should start now expelling the parties concerned, should start expelling the members of parliament who make such utterances like the one Honorable Ngeno made the other day, and of course Honorable Sudi. And we don't even know why Honorable Sudi has not been arrested, because he was also making the same utterances just like Honorable Ngeno. I think the people concerned with such utterances, I think they should be able to arrest more people, and I think the courts should be able to do its part. I think the problem I have is that several people have been taken to court with hate speech, and so far I've never heard of any conviction. I don't know whether it's by design or is something in between happens. But the parties which are supposed now to expel the members again is a problem, because if I'm talking pro my party leader and I'm abusing the other opponent from the other party, then now my party cannot be able to expel me because I'm talking good about my party leader. I think the court should be able to enhance these issues of conviction, and that's the only time we can be able, now people will now fear if there's any conviction which has been done. But so far, I think nothing has been done as far as I'm concerned when it comes to hate speech. And this hate speech can bring a lot of many things, like if we as politicians, we are not really seeing what has been happening. Right. Take, for example, 2007. People were killed several areas, Eldoret, even in Nakuru, in this constituency, Nakuru Town West. People from my area, I was not a member of parliament by then, but people were displaced, and people moved out of there. Up to now, if you come to certain areas, you can see some empty buildings because people ran away. And still, when you find someone making hate speech, and this person is coming from one of the communities, you find the community cheering him and saying that is okay. If you abuse, for example, if today I start abusing someone who is opposed to one wing of a political party, my community will start cheering up, not knowing that at the end of the day, it is going to bring, if violence erupts today, it will also affect my people or elsewhere.
Yes,
and
I
think
that
the
makes
court
sense,
should
yes.
be able now to take action.
Yeah, that makes sense. Valentine, I want to ask, like, and Mheshimiwa is here as well. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has a budget. And you as a member of parliament, you must have heard their cries saying they don't have enough resources for them to be able to investigate, collect the evidence, and present it to the Director of Public Prosecution to recommend prosecution. You as members of parliament, what are you doing to enable that institution to be able to perform its mandate better?
Well, I think if they don't have enough budgets, it's very sad, very extremely sad, because I think this is a time they should have enough money, not only to investigate and prosecute, but also to create awareness to the public, and especially even to members of parliament, who are the greatest culprits of this issue.
Yes.
That there are some utterances, and of course they will be giving examples of what the utterances are, that would constitute hate speech.
Yes.
And if they are not able to do that, that would create that awareness with the public. Then whenever I speak anything that sounds that I'm hitting on the other ethnic group, will always find its way in good ears of my audience.
Okay.
But let me also say this, because you spoke about the budget. If it is not, we are headed towards supplementary budget. Ordinarily, when you're doing for supplementary budget one, not much will have been done between that's July and this time.
Right.
Most likely they were paying salaries and recurrent expenditure. But if they want to go out and talk to the public and also be able to investigate and come up with tangible results,
yes,
then this is the time. And I want to call upon my colleagues,
yes,
that they are seeing where we are headed. And 2 years before elections,
and this
people are saying all manner of things.
Yes.
I want to call upon my colleagues that if these people ask for more money, and justifiably so, we should pass in the supplementary budget.
Okay, because as Mheshimiwa Arama pointed out, we need a more concerted effort, for sure, because as he's saying, it was very difficult to even find one Kenyan who's been convicted. We've managed to find one. And what we need is, you have to prove intention. And you then have to prove intention and show that that hate speech resulted in a hate crime, in an action driven by hate. So it's not enough to just say that this person said something hateful. You then have to then find somebody who committed an action led by that speech. That's the tricky part. So I agree with Mike. That's why they need a bigger budget. Do we have responses?
Yes, we do. And remember, you can keep sending your responses. The WhatsApp number is on the line, and we want to sample them. A very interesting conversation that we're having here today. As long as a person has power, connections, and money for cash bail, he or she can speak all sorts of hate speeches. He or she knows the government has done nothing, according to me. People must deal with the faults of others as gently as their own. That is Ms. Koech. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. No, not much is needed to fight corruption. What is being done is trying to be seen as if they are fighting corruption, and hate speech is seen as if it is something relative. Some do. No hate speech, but when others do the same, they need to apologize. Okay, take a reconciliatory tone there. Good evening. I do not think if enough has been done. The people who expect to set good example are the one leading in hate speech. For sure, the coming generation is lacking good morals. The only people who can enhance the positive morals and behavior are the current leaders. The judiciary should come out strong on this kind of behavior for us to secure the coming generation. That's Dominic from Kikuyu. Thank you so much. Remember, keep sending your thoughts and opinions to us. The WhatsApp number is on the screen, and of course you can talk to us using the hashtag #K24. When we come back, we'll still talk to our panel, and I want to find out, you as the ordinary mwananchi out there, si unatumianga mtandao, you're on social media, you also commit hate speech. We'll talk about that after the break. Welcome back to The Loop, a bold and fresh look at our lives here in Kenya. We have an exciting panel here with us discussing the issue of, are we doing enough to prevent, stop and address the issue of hate speech in this country? And we're joined by Mheshimiwa Baya, who's all the way in Kilifi. And I want to ask you, because now we have seen that hate speech has become the order of the day. It's not just our leaders. On social media, people are so intolerant of diversity of opinion that the minute you say something, you have got 10,000 people who are there abusing you and calling you all sorts of things. What, in your opinion, needs to be done to make us as a society a bit more tolerant on, diverse opinions?
I want to say this, that there is a very thin line between hate speech and freedom of speech, a very thin line. And you are not really able to say that this is hate speech and this is freedom of expression as enshrined in the Constitution, freedom of speech. And therefore, people take advantage of that lacuna and that gray area, and therefore are able to say the kind of things that they want to say. Like you have said earlier on, it has not been easy to prosecute and convict people out of hate speech because the Constitution gives you latitude. And I think if you look at the judgment of Justice Ngugi, who said that, there used to be a law in the penal code that you could be charged for misuse of a telecommunication gadget because of the kind of things that you have said. But that was set aside as unconstitutional because it was infringing on people's freedom of speech. And therefore, when people take to social media and say the kind of things that they say, it is difficult to take that person to court and actually convict. You have seen bloggers being arrested and taken to court, and none of them has been convicted. Why? Because the Constitution of Kenya is supreme and is able to protect the rights of this person to express himself the way he wants to express, of course with responsibility. Therefore, it has been very difficult actually to say that people need to be disciplined in social media, that there's hate speech on social media. Yes, there are speeches or there's some writings that can actually incite ethnic hate among people. But then you go back again to what was the intention of this person. Did this person intend to start ethnic hate, or did he just want to express himself? And if you fall back on the law, it goes back to freedom of expression. And therefore, it's been very difficult. The second thing I would like to say, Valentine, is that, you see, there is the committee, the National Cohesion Integration Commission. But again, there is a committee in Parliament, National Cohesion Integration Committee of the National Assembly. Now, these two bodies are supposed to look out and say that we need to moderate what people say and to ensure that ethnic hate is not stirred. Right. But both organs, if you look at the committee in Parliament, you look at it, you say that it is actually divided on what is popularly known as Kieleweke and Tangatanga within the committee. And therefore, it cannot be functional. It is a dysfunctional committee of Parliament. Okay. Why? Because the people already within there have political inclination so that this person belongs to us or this one does not belong to us because of the ethnic background. Okay. Again, if you go to the Commission on Integration itself, yes, if you look at it, it also has a kind of divide. So we need to rise above the bar of ethnicity as people first. Okay. And think ourselves as a nation, as a country. Therefore, we'll be able to pattern the kind of things that we are seeing on social media, and also to discipline people. But again, a third thing which we need to look at in this country.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. And because it seems the election season and the campaign season has begun, I want to ask a polarizing question. We seem to not have an opposition right now in Kenya, and Jubilee seems to be split down the middle. There's a lot of conversation about this divorce. Are we going to see a setup of Jubilee Ruto and Jubilee Asili? Is that a possibility? Are we going to see that this year? And before you respond, I'd like to ask Mheshimiwa Arama to respond to this.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think this issue of Jubilee Asili and Jubilee Ruto, I think is just an imagination of a certain section of people from certain area. Because I don't think we people in Jubilee, we only have one Jubilee, and the party leader is the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the deputy is the party leader, who is William Ruto. But unfortunately enough, is that some people from Jubilee, who are referring themselves as Tanga, they have gone ahead to start issues like Jubilee Asili. I think they are looking for an easy way of leaving Jubilee, and it's better they say that now they are boarding out of the party, and they are forming their own party. And I think as Jubilee members, we only have one Jubilee, which is headed by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the constitution of the party is very clear that what the party leader says is what we follow, and that's what we have been following. Actually, this issue of having any other person or another party elsewhere is just an imagination of certain function of Jubilee members who I think want to leave the party to form their own party.
Okay, asante sana Mheshimiwa. Let me ask your colleague the same question, but in a different way. Come 2021, this time next year, who will you be putting forward as Kieleweke? Who will be your candidate?
Let me say this, and I'm coming from the constituency, and that question arose from the members of public, and they're asking which way are we headed. And I told them we are 2 years to election. We have only done 3 years. And I said to them very emphatically that I am listening to the person who will come and talk about integration of the country, a person who will come and talk about development, regional even where I come from, and more importantly, because I'm going to distribute food, a person who will come and empower the people, so that in future we don't have to go and dish out food to people who are looking hopeless. Now, if you bring me those politics of ideology and development and empowerment, whoever you are, I will vote for you.
Okay.
Right?
And I say that... Let me cut you off. We are running out of time, and I want to give Mheshimiwa Baya an opportunity to tell us about Jubilee Ruto and your candidate.
Now, what I would like to say is this. You know, every transition politics in this country is very fluid. You know, transition politics, if you look at the history of this country, transition politics is very fluid, and every time we have transition politics, we have situations where there's a lot of realignment. Come 2021, at this time, I think there will be different formations in this country. And probably we'll have more presidential candidates that will be fronted by different political formations. So as we move towards a transition period, because now we're going to have a new president, come May, we'll have a new president in 2022. And that in itself calls for some reevaluation. You know, it has been 10 years now. So people will reevaluate their political strategy and be able to say, let's realign here, let's realign here. But the problem of this country is the realignments that will come will not be ideological. They will not be about empowering the country. They will not be about strengthening the integration of the country. They'll be tribal and ethnic. That is where we are heading, and that is what is dangerous for this country. And I hope and I wish that whatever is happening in Jubilee and whatever is happening in other parties, they will forget about where they come from and their names and their tribes, and look at the nation, and such that the political realignments that we achieve in 2021 will be based on integration and empowerment and economic development of this country. Whoever will be the president, who will stood up, who will be a presidential candidate, who will stand out and say, this is what I stand for. It's not about my tribe, it's not about the other things that bring us together, but nationhood. Then that's the candidate that this country needs. This is the candidate that this country needs.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Baya. And I'll take this opportunity to thank all of you, Mheshimiwas, starting with you, Mwari, in studio with us, and also Mheshimiwa Arama, all the way from Nakuru. Asanteni sana, and I love this commitment to nationhood and cohesiveness as Kenyans, and moving from hate speech and tribal rhetoric more and more towards issues that are affecting Kenyans today. And thank you so much. It's been a riveting conversation. To you at home, asante sana for all your feedback. Kidum is coming up in just a few minutes. I have loved this man's music for so long. I'm very excited to meet him and sing along and take this jacket off and even start dancing just a little bit. Mike is at the Tamu Tamu Bar, and we'd like to also thank Mawimbi Seafood Restaurant for joining us on this. So, Mike, what are you drinking?
Yep, it's going to be a fantastic show here on Unplugged. And if you are thinking about going anywhere, please do not go. We have a true son of Africa who's going to be with me here at the Tamu Tamu Bar, which is, you know, decked out courtesy of Mawimbi Seafood. So it's going to be an interview that you do not want to miss. Don't go too far. More with me and Kidum on Unplugged next.
unavyoona, vile ninavyohisi. Usikae kama mtu anaficha hisia. Huwezi kuficha moto moshi kitokea. Ukificha mapenzi wewe unaumia ndani ndani. Na sina kuelewa ini mwenendo gani. Taratibu ni vema lakini siwe kunirusite. Chani kupende mpenzi. Chani kuhisi ndani ndani. Nishike mkononi twende mbali. Kwetu ingawa mbali uko ni nyumbani. Takubeba kwetu. Taratibu ni vema lakini kusiwe mwingine. Nieleze kwa nini wewe una hofu na mimi. Nakupenda, I love you, je t'aime. Hakika tazama uso wangu. Nimekumbwa na msasa wa kimapenzi. Natangaza wasi hadharani. Nakupenda sana niko na wewe kufana kupona. Chani kupende mpenzi. Kufana kupona baby. Chani kuhisi ndani. Nishike mkononi twende mbali. Kufana kupona ingawa mbali. Uko ni nyumbani. Imatana kwetu kwetu. Chani kupende mpenzi. Nishike mkononi Chani kuhisi ndani ndani. Kufana kupona baby. Nishike mkononi ingawa mbali. Uko ni nyumbani.
Welcome to Unplugged. My name is Mike Washira, and of course that was the legendary Kidum, international recording artist, a peace ambassador, and also a performing artist and a true son of the soil. This man has had albums upon albums upon albums, and finally we have him here in studio with us. But after listening to such a great song, we need a drink. And Tabu Tabu Bar today is sponsored by Mawimbi Seafood, and I have Mark here. Mark, we have a legendary artist Kidum here in studio. So, what are you going to make for us?
Today, first of all, we're going to make a whiskey sour.
Right.
Basically, it's a whiskey-based cocktail.
Yeah.
Normal whiskey sour has egg, but not many guys like a raw egg.
Yeah.
So, doing a twist of it.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a whiskey sour.
That's a whiskey sour.
All right. What else do we have?
Next up, we have a love bite.
Right.
It's a ladies cocktail. It's a very nice cocktail.
Okay. A love bite. Is this something that I can make at home? These ingredients that you have here,
yes.
These are not things that will cost me too much.
No.
Yeah. So anybody can make this at home.
Yes. You can just buy any of the ingredients.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have legendary Kidum. Asante sana kwa kuja kwa studio leo. Please join me here.
Yeah.
Okay. On the desk.
Yes.
Baya masiku bro.
Safi.
Unaendelea aje?
Sawa kabisa.
Uko fit eh?
Corona tu.
Corona tu inaangamiza kila mtu.
Yes.
Everybody here is crying corona.
Kabisa.
Especially wasanii.
Baya sana.
You know, imekuwa mbaya sana. You know, you can't perform, you can't do most of the things that you usually do. One of the conversations that tulikuwa nayo hapa on the loop was around the issue of hate speech. Na vile hate speech unajua wanasiasa wanaitumia and then it becomes kitu ingine, you know, inaenda kuharibu nchi kabisa. You are no stranger to this sort of situation.
Yes.
Na unajua ulikuwa hapa 2007 ukaona vile mambo ilikuwa, but you've also come from a background where there was a lot of violence in Burundi.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you tell Kenyans who are watching right now about hate speech?
This is not a movie to watch and you start piga kelele, kushangilia. No. Hii ni kitu inajijenga polepole alafu baadaye inajenga roho za watu kujitayarisha juu ya vita. So sio kitu mzuri.
Sio kitu mzuri. Yeah. You know, and you know, you fled conflict in 1995. So you completely understand how dangerous this is. Let's talk a bit about that because si kila mtu anajua story ya Kidum na mahali Kidum alitokea. Unajua kuna wengine wanasikianga tu Kidum nadhani Kidum ni mtu anaishi hapa South B ama anaishi ninajua ni Mkenya. You know, lakini ulitoka Burundi.
Yeah.
And at the time your conflict ilikuwa hiyo mvurutano ilikuwa huko Burundi. You were in a very interesting situation kwa sababu baba yako alikuwa your dad was a Hutu. And your mom is Tutsi.
Yes.
Sasa ukajipata hapo katikati. How was that?
Ni wengi wako kama mimi. Ni wengi sana. Watu walioana huko sana wakaoana. Lakini unajua mambo ya siasa yanaanzaga ni kushangilia. Mnadhani this is the thing sasa. Siku hizi tunafaa kwenda kwa hii chama. Lakini kulikuwa kitu inajijenga polepole. Kabila fulani kinataka ku take over power. Wengine walikuwa wamesalia power, wamekalia power muda mrefu. Sasa shida ikaanzia hapo. Hao walikuwa wanangoja power pia siku yao imefika. Walikuwa wataka kusikia kitu kingine kama si power kuchukua. Wale walikuwa wamekaa kwa power muda mrefu, hawakuwa tayari kuachilia. So rais akakuwa assassinated. So watu wengine wakasema mnatuia rais wetu tumechagua tu juzi, mnaua yeye. Sasa mambo ikafinaanza hivyo. Watu wakachukua camps, unaenda kwa hii side ama ile side. Basi.
Na alafu pia mambo na military pia ilikuwa inaingilia mambo mingi sana. Na alafu na militia pia ilikuwa hapo pia.
Yeah, militia ilijijenga baadaye polepole. Mtu anaongea pale, mtu anasikia kabisa niko convinced acha na mimi nijifunze AK47, acha na mimi nichukue sababu hao jamaa wanatuua. Hivyo tu.
How did you escape joining the militia?
Okay, you know, hiyo kwanza kwetu walikuwa wataki story kama hiyo. Babangu alikuwa apendi muziki before. Sasa hiyo ndio alianza kuniambia heri upige muziki badala nikono na bunduki.
Ya mambo ya militia na
mambo ya bunduki.
Yeah.
So akanipatiaga $60. Ilikuwa ni equivalent ya $60. Akaniambia enda huko mbali kabisa. Sitaki kuona unachukua bunduki. Basi.
Na nilisikia story fulani hapa and I thought this was really interesting. Ya kwamba ulikuwa shule siku moja, ulikuwa na marafiki zako. Na mlikuwa hata kutoroka shule kwenda kwa kutafuta wanawake madem. Kwa shule ya madem.
Sasa na mimi nilikuwa naogopewa sana na wenzangu.
Walikuwa wanaona huo atachukua wote.
Sababu nilikuwa superstar kwa shule. Kwa hiyo boarding school nilikuwa superstar.
Lakini tell us the incident kwa sababu wewe ulikosa kutoroka shule. Ulibaki kwa shule
na nililala nikaamka nikapata wenzangu wameenda. Walikuwa 17. Wote waliuliwa. Sababu informa fulani aliambia army ya hiyo area ya kwamba a group of wanafunzi wako na try kwenda kujoin rebellion ndani ya msitu. So wakawangoja ndani wakamalizana nao juu kwa juu. Lakini hapakuwa kitu kama hiyo.
So kama ungeenda
na mimi singekuwa leo.
Atungekuwa na Kidum, there would be no story about you.
Yeah, kabisa.
Oh my God. Kidum is here with us. Remember, you can ask him anything that you want to ask him on the Ask Me Anything segment. And of course, use the hashtag #TheLoopK24. And the WhatsApp number is still on the line there. This is a legendary musician that we have here. He's been in Kenya for a very long time.
25 years.
Kidum ni wetu. 25 years. Kidum ni wetu.
Yes.
So we want you to perform something for us. Yes. Which song will you perform?
Kazi ni kazi.
Kazi ni kazi.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a love song. It's not about job. Ni kazi.
Oh, si kazi.
Ni mapenzi.
Okay. Ni mambo na mapenzi.
Baba nipatie. Nende pale.
Enda pale. Kidum sings in English, Spanish, French, Kiswahili, Kirundi,
Kinyarwanda.
Kinyarwanda.
Meteta kwamba nimekuwa mtu wa mademu sababu tu niko msanii. Umenuna uliponiona nikipeana namba ya simu, wajua fema mambo ya kazi. Hasira kasara kaka, ukashindwa kula chakula na hatimaye ukashindwa kulala. Mpenzi unielewege, nafanya kazi bila manager, bado napanga mambo yawe sawa. Umechanganywa kuhusu wasanii, tuko watu kama wengine na kazi yetu kama zingine. Umechanganywa kisio mabebi, watu wengine wako na wivu, kupigwa vita kwangu kawaida. Nilikubembeleza kapiga magoti, nilikunyamazisha kiunalia, nilikuelimisha kuhusu kazi yangu, lakini mara kwa mara kitu kidogo tu kinakufanya unalia. Futa macho sinjo kifuani mwangu, nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi. Futa macho sinjo kifuani mwangu, nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi. Kazi ni kazi. Nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi. Haki pepi nafanya kazi tu. Kazi. Mapenzi ni kuaminiana, ni zawadi ya imani. Naimba kutibu moyo, sio utani, sio kokota mapiti no. Mitani niamini upa mwenzio niko kazini. Tie nimepafunagi moyoni mwangu, umetenga chapali. Una wapinzani na majirani wanajua. Nilikubembeleza, nilikunyamazisha ikiunalia, nilikuelimisha kuhusu kazi yangu, lakini mara kwa mara kitu kidogo tu kinakufanya unalia. Futa macho sinjo kifuani mwangu, nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi. Futa macho sinjo kifuani mwangu, nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi. Nakupenda pia lakini elewa kazi ni kazi.
We, acha kunipigia simu, niko hewani. Niko na kidumu. Sasa nitamwambia. Sawa. Wala watu wanaanza kunipigia masimu hapa. Yes. Kidumu, kazi ni kazi.
Kazi ni kazi.
Na mapenzi ni mapenzi.
Ndio hiyo.
So, nataka kuchukua historia yako. Unajua ulifika Tanzania, uko na $60. Ilikuwa vipi?
So, ili manage kunifikisha Dar es Salaam. And then nikaenda kwa Burundi embassy. Nikaeleza story yangu, nikapata ticket to Nairobi. Nairobi nilikuwa nafuata jamaa alikuwa anacheza bass guitar. Tulikuwa tumecheza naye since 1988. Nikiwa na 14. So huyo jamaa nikampata hapa. Akanipeleka siku moja Westlands mahali wana perform. kulikuwa bandi inaitwa Hot Rod. Drama wao alikuwa melewa, sasa hakuwa. Nikashikilia na kutoka siku hiyo mpaka leo bado nacheza drums.
Okay.
Kabisa, nikapata job hiyo.
Okay.
Na nikaifanya poa kabisa. Band yetu ikakuwa the best in town.
Na alafu kulikuwa na hii ngoma ulirecord ya Ramenje. Ya Ramenje, hata the then president Daniel Arap Moi alikuja kuijulia.
Labda unajua watu huambiana.
Because at that point na ilikuwa unajua, and I think at that point walikuwa mwana vile ulikuwa unaimba na akasema this can be somebody.
Nirekodia kwa Moriso Yando.
Yes.
Kwa container huko
Woodley. Kwa container, yes, Woodley. Yes. Kwa Moriso Yando.
So Moriso Yando ndiye alisaidia mimi alafu nikapata sifa kabisa. Not only hapa ati kwa viongozi hata Burundi. Serikali ilikuwa inapigana na waasi. Ile nilitoroka kule. Waliniita sasa nikapokelewa kama VIP.
Peace ambassador.
Yes. Nikaenda kuperform hiyo kitu mazee. Stadium ikaja. Buyoya, President Buyoya.
Yes.
Alikuwa kati ya wananchi na akinyeshewa na mvua. Mwavuli tu inamziwia tu. Rais mwenyewe. Siku hizo. Ilikuwa poa sana.
Na muziki wako imevuma kila mahali kwa sababu you also go to perform in Canada.
Mara mingi sana.
Edmonton Music Festival.
Folk Festival.
Umeitiwa kila mahali. And you've performed in Kenya, in Rwanda.
Nisha perform baka Afro Latino Festival, Holland.
Yes.
Na Belgium.
Yes. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with a legendary performer and a true son of Africa. This is Kidum. Now, tunataka utucheze ngoma nyingine. Utacheza gani?
Sababu ya corona, acha nifanye corona. Nimekasirika na corona sana.
Wait, Mark. Hebu tuende hapo kwanza. Niko hapa na Mark, unajua Mark ametoka Mawimbi Seafood. Na Mark amesema alisikia Kiduma anakuja studio akasema lazima akuje na vinywaji. So Mark, before Kiduma imbe, what do you have for him?
Labda Kiduma tuelezee. You have vodka person or whiskey person?
Ile pale.
Ile hapa.
Sasa. Sawa.
So nimshughulikie.
Unamshughulikia. Please tafadhali, hatuna pesa ya kumlipa. So we're here with Kiduma, atatuchezea ngoma inaitwa Corona. And ladies and gentlemen, remember this is Unplugged, and this is the platform where we give artists an opportunity to come and talk about their stories so you can get to know them a bit better and of course celebrate their music from wherever it is that they may be. And Kidum, from Burundi to Tanzania to Kenya to the world. Corona.
Virusi vya corona vimetuvamia, binadamu kote ulimwenguni, alafu maambukizo yanakwenda kwa kasi. Virusi hivi vimeleta taharuki kote ulimwenguni, shughuli zote zimekwama sababu ya gonjwa hili hatari. Tajiri kwa masikini, gonjwa hili halibagui. Tushikamane tupambane na adui. Gonjwa hili hatari. Tuzingatie maagizo ya serikali. Mamlaka ya afya wanafanya kila juhudi ili mimi na wewe tuwe salama. Janga hili limeporomosha uchumi. Mataifa yote yametangaza hali ya hatari. Tuko vitani na adui tusiyemuona kwa macho. Anaitwa nani? Corona virusi inaua. Corona virusi haina dawa. Corona virusi inaua. Corona virusi haina dawa. Ukistaajabu ya Musa, nakwambia bado utaona ya Firauni. Viwanja vya ndege
makanisa pia. Mipaka ya nchi vyote vimefungwa, mikusanyiko ya umma imepigwa marufuku ile kocholinda. Jameni, janga hili linatingiza dunia. Thank you. Jiosheni mikono zetu kila tukifika sehemu, nisikize gonjwa hili hatari. Tuzingatie maagizo ya serikali. Binadamu akili yake ikifika mwisho, ndio wakati mwafaka Mungu anaitwa Mungu. Tunamwomba atuondole huyu muuaji. Tunasema shindwe, tunasema atoke, awachane na sisi. Tuko vitani.
Ladies and gentlemen, legendary Kidum.
Anaitwa nani? Coronavirus.
There you go. Na umesikia vile Kidum ametuambia corona inaua.
Coronavirus haina dawa.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe wherever it is that you may be.
Coronavirus inaua. Asante kwa
This has been Unplugged, and I want to say
asante kwa drink.
Thank you to Mawimbi Seafood for the amazing drinks that they've given us here today. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to legendary Kidum.
Yes,
asante sana. I hope you enjoy your drink.
Yes. Baba, asante sana.
Yes.
Hii itafukuza corona kabisa.
Okay.
Rusha nje.
Rusha nje. All right. Tell us.
Yes.
Do you have a new album?
Of course.
What is the name of the album?
The album bado haijakuwa na jina, sababu lazima niulize wananchi. Tuite nini?
Wacha tuulize leo.
Mimi kivyangu kuna song inaitwa Hayafai. Yangeitwa hivyo. Wengine wanasema hapana. Hii album iitwe Hatuachani. Wengine wanasema hapana. Iitwe namna hii, iitwe na tauliza wananchi. Kuna wale naulizaka. Wanipatia philosophy ya mwelekeo.
Okay.
Yes.
Na hii album yako tunajua unaimbanga na Kifaransa, unaimba na Kiswahili, unaimba na Spanish, unaimba na yani so many different languages.
Yes.
Itakuwa na nani kwa hii album? Who will be featuring? Ni zamani wewe peke yako.
Okay, nimeshafanya songs mob baba. Kuna song mimi na King Kaka inaitwa Hello. Inafaa kutoka kwanza kesho nadhani. Nishafanya songs na wasanii wengi sana, wengi. Vijana wale wajulikani, wale wanajulikana. Paka na wengine wakubwa sana wenye sitaki kutaja hapa sababu ni secret weapon.
Tunangojea hiyo album itatoka lini?
Let's say after corona.
After corona.
Hii
corona inaweza isha 2023.
Tutakaa nayo. Hata HIV tunakaa nayo.
Mark, umesikia hiyo maneno?
Nasikia mazi.
So kwa sababu ya hiyo maneno utanitengenezea drink yangu pia mimi.
Okay.
Yes, me I want a mocktail.
A mocktail.
What will it have?
Basically, I'll make for you a very nice mocktail.
Yes.
With herbs.
Okay.
Itakuwa na basil, basil leaves.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the drinks we have here. Yeah.
So what are all these? What is this?
Basically, this one's there's a berry liqueur here.
Right.
There's a red wine here. We have pineapple juice, lime juice, and sugar syrup.
And these are all things that I can get off the shelf in a supermarket, and you know,
yes.
I can make this at home.
At home.
Okay.
Yes, because red wine you can just buy at the shop.
Right.
Sugar syrup, just sugar and water. You just boil it here.
Yes.
Lime juice you just squeeze yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So Mark from Mawimbi Seafood is going to make me a mocktail here.
Yes.
I see. Yes.
So basically, what I'll do?
Yeah.
I'll get the basil leaves. They're very aromatic. Maybe you can smell them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as Mark is telling us about some of these ingredients that are going to go into my mocktail, I want to ask Kidum. Kidum, tunataka kucheza video yako ya ngoma inaitwa Nakupenda. Tell us about that song.
That song nitaka kufanya kitu tofauti kidogo. Hata ukiona kwa video nimejifanya kijana sana.
Right. Umejifanya kijana
sana. Hapana mchezo.
Hapana mchezo.
Dance ile napiga hapo. Ile napiga hapo.
Utanifundisha hiyo dance?
Hata kanda bongo
bali. Unaona hii kitabu niko nayo, utawezana kweli?
Una kitabu. Sisi je tuko na maneno. Una kitu.
Okay, as Mark makes my drink and as Kidum enjoys his courtesy of Mawimbi Seafood, I think now we should watch the video for the song Nakupenda. Na hii imetoka kwa album gani?
Hii tu mpya. Unajua?
Hii ambayo ina jina.
Yeah, ngoja kwanza. There is a Sherekea Furahia. That's album number 3. Plus zile Yesu number 1. Yes. Kwetu 3. 4 haturudi nyuma. Kama ni mapenzi. Hiyo.
Yes.
Hiyo ni 4. 5, number 5 ni ile hali na mali. Ile tulifanya Shila Manyiga.
Yes.
Hiyo ni number 5. Sasa hii number 6 inakuja.
Number 6. 6.
Na kila moja 14 songs. Kila. So unajua tu.
Hadi wako unajua watu wengine wanafanyanga album wanatupatia ngoma 7. So 14 songs is a good number.
Yeah,
all right. So ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this video Nakupenda from Kidum's 6th studio album, which does not have a name yet. So you have an opportunity to tell him what you think the album should be called.
Magic mix, call it the magic. Umekukizusha ati kwamba mimi nakucheza, hata simu zangu nikipiga uchukui, nashindwa ni nini mbaya nimefanya, wenye nia mbaya hakika wataki kutupa amani. Mambo ya walikubuli hali ya sitofahamu, ili mwisho unichukie. Saa zingine mimi uhisi nishike mtu masati na nianze vita. But I'm sorry, mimi si aina ya mtu wa ugomvi. My baby, nimeumbwa tu nikubembeleze ili moyo wako nirudie. Ndiyo sababu nakupa haka kawimbo, haka kawimbo. Nataka nini tatenda, nakupenda. Ipenzi wangu acha wasiwasi, ndiyo sababu nakupa haka kawimbo. Usiwe na wasiwasi mpenzi. Inasikitisha sana haya mambo ya kutuchonganisha, yani mtu mzima mwenye akili timamu anawezaje kuamka kukiasi hicho?
And Kidumi are teaching me the dance tune, Nakupenda. And of course, that is his 6th studio album, which is has about 14 songs, and Nakupenda is one of them. And remember, Kidum has been here with us over 25 years. This man has got a body of work that you can enjoy for the longest, especially during this Corona period time. Sindio? Coronavirus time. You can enjoy this. And we want to say thank you so much to Kidum for taking time to come in.
Anytime. Anytime.
And of course, your guitarist as well. Asante sana.
Nilikuwa nimeamua nisiongee kizungu leo.
Mark from Mawimbi Seafood. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Mawimbi Seafood for the amazing drinks. And we will see you next Friday here on Unplugged.
That's